Osiris.
We're mass communicating. We're mass communicating. Mass communicating.
Welcome back to Touchdowns All Day. Max here, and yes, we are joined by Barber.
How's everyone doing? Good to talk. Good to podcast with you, Max. Good to be back in podcasting world.
Yes, we thought it was appropriate to give you some time off because you crammed a lot of shows into July. I was just looking back, 11 shows in 16 days, and a lot of travel too.
Tons of travel, but those shows were all great. We had a really good time on this run. The weather was amazing, and everybody was having every show seemed, everybody was just really smiling, having a great time. A lot of new material to play. There was a little bit of time to prepare for the tour, so I had a bunch of guitar wizardry kind of prepared that I was having fun playing with every night. So I don't know, that's like the winning combination for me. New songs, happy fans, a lot of guitar stuff to play around with, and just really great venues. Those outdoor amphitheaters, I love them. I just literally could play one of those every single day of the week and be a happy guitarist for sure. Yeah, great run. It went by super fast.
Well, the point of this episode is to listen back to some of the highlights of that run from Biscoland all the way through the end. We've selected, with the help of the Touchdowns All Day Advisory Committee, some of the hottest jams from the month, and John and I are going to listen to them. But before we do that, a few other items on our agenda to tick off. John, you guys have a big fall tour coming up. Not to overlook closing out the end of the summer, you've got Elements Festival, Thalia Hall. You've got this lead up to the Colorado run, and then the Colorado run, and then Pine Creek. But then after that, you guys are going all over the place. You've got Caverns for Halloween. You're going to be in Asheville, Baltimore, Brooklyn, Woodstock, all through the Northeast, Buffalo. Talk to me a little bit about this tour. This is a big tour.
We haven't had a chance to do, this is kind of what we had planned when the pandemic hit. We had a huge tour planned for the pandemic, and it was obviously all canceled, and it was terrible. But we haven't had a chance to do that like big stretched out tour in the past couple of years because we've been in album mode, and we're back in album mode again, by the way. But I think that the other parts of the business are, the guys at 1111, Kaplan and Baruch, have really whipped the business into shape in a good, quick couple of months. And it's easy for us now to go out and do a bunch of shows stacked. And we even added some. We had a full tour booked and we added more. Yeah. And we're trying to play all these markets that are kind of like the West Coast tour from last year, where, when was the last time we were there? We're trying to go to a lot of these places that we haven't been to in forever, and just reestablish the Disco Biscuits as a, touring juggernaut and the kind of band that people will, go see 40, 50 times a year. I think we're doing that. I also like the fact that there's a nice break between the September run and the November run, which gives me kind of an appropriate amount of time to cook up a different Disco Biscuits for November than you get in September. Kind of like this July Disco Biscuits on this 11 show run where we were playing another spin every night, and there was, another trapdoor jam here and there, and there was a lot of different music. Tractor Beam was really different, is we were able to cook up a different Disco Biscuits that you didn't get in May and April when we were out then. And it was very close, those two. They were even considered the same tour, but in June we were able to do a lot of work and get a totally different band together, and I'm excited about that. I think that's what's going to be the most fun for me, is going to be in October, getting to, basically getting to sit around and be like, okay, now what can we do that would be super amazing in November, and then that also gives me like the mental ability to say, okay, whatever we have now, we play it in September. Any new songs that are still on the list that haven't been played, they're getting played in September. Any new jam ideas that we're working on, fills, builds, integrations of different instruments, all that stuff goes into September because we have plenty of time to cook up new stuff for November.
That's really interesting. And I think that's a great way of looking at 2024, is that with each batch of shows, there have been new batches of songs and sounds. You could say the sample tour, the T-Beam tour, like there were different ideas or themes that were kind of organizing everything. And it's really cool to see that with a few more legs left of the Never Ending Why We Dance 2024 tour, we've got a few more opportunities for you guys to blow us away with something new.
Yeah, and it's interesting because last night I was writing guitar music the old way. I went back to the way that I used to write it in the 98s and 2005s, like where I play guitar for a really long time in a completely dark room, and I record it, and then I go back and listen to it, and I pull out the things that were really exciting. And when you're playing, you're like, oh, this is going to be it, and and I just jam on whatever. I just jam, right? Yeah. But when you go back, it's always the moment when you're not thinking and you're like, your brain is out of the way. That's where the riff is. The riff for Why We Dance was from one of the that was from one of those sessions. And I'm working on trying to keep a balance in the songwriting between the way we just kind of developed this incredible method of taking jams and turning them into bangers. And now I'm kind of going over to the old ways and cooking up some more guitar-led stuff that'll probably show up in November, I would think, because we have our September stuff already worked out.
I'm sure people will be very excited to hear the fruits of that process. I was going to say, when you said the old way, I was like, did you find a high school track or football field to walk around in circles around all night in the middle of Pennsylvania?
I think I might have something. It's illegal to walk there, but that just makes it more fun. But I don't want to get but I think that might be the next step. I haven't done that in a minute either, but yeah, thanks for the reminder. I got to bring that method back too.
Well, a few other upcoming exciting announcements recently. One was that New Year's Eve will be in Philadelphia this year at the Fillmore. Very exciting to be on that stage. John, what's the difference between a Fillmore show versus an Electric Factory, or I guess Franklin Hall show?
Not much for me. It's pretty easy for me either way. I think the sound system at the Fillmore is just, the Fillmore just like sonically sounds better than the other Philadelphia venues, but I'm not sure about that. I don't go to a lot of shows, so I don't really, I think for, the old Electric Factory, they might have a new sound system in there. I don't know. They probably do. But I think that these rooms are good rooms for the Biscuits. We know how to play these rooms. We played them a million times. And that's basically what everybody wants this New Year's to be, like a real family New Year's. Everybody gets together. We have our New Year's shows. It's Philly, which we all know how to do. And the band can, just kind of sparkle in our own way.
And of course, for 2025, we're already looking forward to next September. John, we have coming up Seabisco.
Yeah. Yeah.
How excited are you to be on a cruise with everybody? And apart from just the cruise, a cruise to Alaska. Have you been to Alaska before?
I never have. This will be a first for me.
John, it's sick. I know you've been to Iceland, Alaska. Oh my God. It is so beautiful, so wild. I hope we get to get off the boat a lot, do a lot of adventuring in the fjords and the mountains and the glaciers and all that stuff. It is going to be rad. What are you envisioning for that cruise? So tell us a little bit more about Seabisco, other than the Biscuits and a bunch of lunatics on a cruise ship from Seattle to Alaska and back.
I don't know what else to say, really. I mean, I haven't not been on a cruise ship since Holy Ship, like way back in the day, and I don't even know what to expect on a cruise ship. I know that we do get to play a lot of sets. There's going to be, and it's a really nice boat, and it's a gorgeous countryside that we boat around to, and we basically get to customize it in a lot of different ways. So it's going to be a very custom Disco Biscuit experience. Everybody's pretty excited about it.
Well, we are eagerly awaiting more information, and as soon as it's available, we'll have it for you here on Touchdowns All Day. But in the meantime, make sure that you are checking out the Seabisco website. That's seabisco.tbits.me. If you sign up there, you can make sure you're one of the first to find out when cabins go on sale and when the lineup and the schedule gets announced. Definitely do not want to miss that one. John, now I know that you have not been just sitting around idly during this time off. You are working on a live album. Talk to me a little bit about the Revolution in Motion live album that you have been working on.
Just wrapped it 2 days ago. It is the Webster Hall show, and I'm basically taking the multi-tracks that we record at the show, and I'm going through and producing them, cleaning them up, making them sound as good as humanly possible. It'll be mixed by Rich Steele, and that'll be kind of like the definitive Revolution in Motion live experience album. The band played really, really well that night. The guest vocalists are on there, of course. Cloud Chord on guitar is on there. And it's just going to be a really fun way to listen to the album. It's a little bit more jammy Disco Biscuits than the live album, than the studio version of the album is.
Is this something we can expect to hear on Nugs?
Yeah, I think it's going to go on Nugs and Spotify and all the DSPs. It's going to go everywhere. It's going to be released as an album.
This will be an album, so you'll be able to share this with your friends who aren't Nugs subscribers. That's really exciting.
Yes.
Listening back to that show, any highlights jump out at you, things that you didn't necessarily remember, but when you dug down into the individual multi-tracks you heard and you were like, wow, that was really good?
I mean, look, The Taurus is fantastic with Mateo singing. The Why We Dance with Aaron singing is one of the best versions of that song I've heard. Yeah. And I just think that song is like the sleeper smash of that album for some reason. It just hits me in a weird way that I like. You know, the To Be Continued is great. The whole album is really well played. The band was really on. And there's so many moments. There's so many great moments. So I don't have any real comments about, you know, I think those are maybe the standout moments. I always like a One Chance to Save the World that's tight and produced is nice.
Well, it was such a special night, and it will be really great for everyone who was there and everyone who listened along at home to be able to have this memento from what was really an historic evening for the Disco Biscuits. A great performance, great guests, and just an overwhelming sense of accomplishment and pride that the band and the audience was able to take in seeing that project through to fruition. Yeah, really great. John, the other thing that you've been busy with is Baba G. You just played a Baba G show up in Bearsville, New York with Ben Atkind, former drummer from Goose. Talk to us a little bit about how that night went. Baba G's getting really good. I've boiled it down to a nice vibe of I'm playing some guitar and DJing tracks, some that I make, some that are basically brand new. I'm kind of new at DJing, so I don't have like the hits to run through for anybody because I was never a hits DJ in some other room. I don't have like classic songs that I DJ. I DJ stuff that came out this week. That's where I get the songs from. I go to the new releases and I listen to the new releases and I listen to the ones that I like. And it keeps me really current on what's going on in dance music. And I like dance music. Ben is an incredible drummer and can play whatever I throw at him. It's wild, all the different grooves that I throw at him. And my song selection for that project is a lot of bass house and a lot of kind of
deep playa house, which is what I would call it. Some like, Afro house, they call it. Just different kinds of grooves in that kind of BPM 220 to 240 BPM range. And I just have an interesting taste. And I think that's what the most fun part about Baba G is that when I finally have pulled all the songs in, I listen to them like all week, and I get attached to moments in the different, like I'll download like every song I like from the new releases on like a Beatport or something like that. And then I'll put them into like a playlist, and then I'll like go running or I'll go biking and I'll listen to it. And like when I'm in the bus driving around, I'll listen to the playlist, and I start to like think about the songs outside of listening to them. And then I'll get those songs and I'll put them in an order that I think has a flow for the show. Trying to take people up a little bit, take them down a little bit, take them up a little bit, take them down a little bit. I'll mix in whatever I'm producing in the studio that's new, and then I'll make a show out of that. And that's basically what the last couple Baba Gs have been. There's been a bunch of different Baba Gs, the one where I was composing the music on the fly, the one where I was playing Biscuit songs and playing guitar and singing. So there's been a lot of different versions of it. I'm not kind of saying those things aren't what Baba G is going to be, but I like what it is right now, which is really, really fresh, hot, new dance music, according to me. And then whatever I'm cooking up in the studio recently. So this time I played a fully mastered version of Another Spin, which I don't think anybody had heard. So I took the demo, I cleaned it up, I mastered it, I made it sound poppin', and I played that. The crowd went nuts for that. I played In the End We Have Forever with Aaron Boyd singing. Oh, wow. Along with, so that was great. I don't think anybody had heard that before. I played a couple other things. I played a demo that's tentatively titled Speed Cream or something like that.
Oh, yes.
And, and it's, I think that we picked the name because it was funny. And it's being made out of the San Diego Second Set Jam for the Biscuits. So you never really know what you're going to get as far as music-wise in a Baba G song being set, because pretty much everything you hear is unreleased Biscuits or just recently released techno music to the point where you probably haven't heard it yet.
Well, that's really exciting. And I know you have coming up this weekend a Baba G with Dr. Famous collab that's going to be taking place in the VIP tent at Elements Fest.
Well, Alan and I are going to, so Alan's going to play the drums. We haven't talked about what drums he's playing. I think he's going to play probably his acoustic drums. Eventually, I will talk him into bringing his electric kit. You know me.
I love the electric kit. Of his drums.
I love the electric kit. I love it. So he's going to play drums. I'm going to play guitar and then DJ. And again, it'll be a set. Kind of what I'm describing, new demos from the studio, plus a bunch of songs that are going to be hot, but you probably haven't heard them yet.
Well, that's great. Everybody will have to check that out, and hopefully Barber will get a clean recording, because we've been talking about having an episode dedicated to Baba G for quite some time. So hopefully in the near future, John and I will sit down and play some segments from some of the various Baba G performances that have taken place recently.
Let me add to that real quick. So they've been Mixlering my Baba G sets on Mixler, the little thing where the fans put the show on Mixler. So you can get Baba G up there. I don't know how long it's there for. And I'm also putting it on my Barber Shreds Baba G SoundCloud. So I'll put all the sets up there. So I think the Brooklyn set is up there in its entirety. If you want to go listen to that, which has Better in Doses unreleased demo version in it before we changed the lyrics. So if you want to hear the old version of Better in Doses lyrics, you can go check out the Brooklyn Baba G on my SoundCloud. So yeah, there's going to be ways to listen to this stuff. And we're kind of being more all about that now. Now that there's a bunch of gigs coming in and we have a pretty regular flow of shows, we have a kind of a flow for getting the songs up for everybody to listen to.
All right, so everybody head over to soundcloud.com/barbershreds and you'll find a very exciting selection of Baba G, Biscuits, and other performances. As I mentioned, John, we had a couple of voicemails that I wanted to play, see if you could weigh in on a few of the listeners' questions. I'm going to start out with a call from our friend Above the Dave.
Hey, Max. Hey, Barber. This is Above the Dave. I'm actually hitting, like a lot of people this year, I'm hitting my 25th anniversary, 25 years of seeing the Disco Biscuits. I was fortunate enough to start seeing this band. My anniversary is 9/9/99. It was Northern Lights, a double bill with Deep Banana Blackout. And I caught the bug, and that's it. For me, I'll be at Utah on this, 9/11. 2024, where I'm personally going to celebrate my anniversary with the band. However, I wanted to actually ask, what is going to be the 30th anniversary of the band? The next year, 2025, is going to be 30 years of the Disco Biscuits. And if you look it up online, you see a February 11th show, 1995, as XC. Is that going to be the anniversary of the Disco Biscuits when there's XC, or is it when the name officially was the Disco Biscuits later that year? So I was just going to ask Barber or anyone who may know, when are we celebrating the big 3-0? So I appreciate that info, so I know what date to go too hard in my apartment. Thank you. You guys are kicking ass, by the way. I love this podcast.
All right, maybe he could go to the show instead of celebrate his apartment. But
he's been seeing shows for 25 years, like you and me, John. He is old. He needs to sometimes just couch tour it. But it's a great question, John. How are you defining the 30th anniversary of the Disco Biscuits? And side note, 30th. Remember when the Grateful Dead had their 30th anniversary, and it seemed like, how could any band be around for 30 years? What an amazing milestone. So how do we commemorate that? When do we clock it?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know how to do the anniversary thing. I guess it would be cool. I don't know. That's a good idea. I mean, I guess it's next year, he's saying, and it's probably like December of next year. I mean, it would be great if the entire fan base sold out every show that we had from now till next July. Just buy all the tickets to every show. Then they'll let us play Hampton Coliseum for our 30th anniversary.
Is that the goal? That would be the dream?
That would be so sick, wouldn't it? That would be so sick.
All right, Dave, you heard it there. But seriously, John, 30 years. Did you ever think?
I don't, yeah, it's weird. I don't think about things this way, but it is a lot of time. It's kind of wild. So I don't feel like I'm old enough to be in a band with a 30-year anniversary. I just don't feel like I'm at that age. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should act my age.
I just remember in 1999 finding out that Tony O was 30 years old and thinking he was like the oldest person I had ever met. He was geriatric, and giving him a hard time. You're 30? That means people who were born when we were out on tour are now going to be that old. It blows the mind. Ay. Okay, one more voicemail, John. This one is from Mully.
Okay, this is Mully from Reading, Pennsylvania. The topic that I'd love to hear discussed is right before COVID or so, the band was working with like a trainer or like a coach. Like the band was working with a coach, and I'm curious how much of that coaching that went on there is influencing what the band is doing now, because everything seems to be taken way more seriously. Like it just seems like everything's been has been upped, and I'm just curious if like that coaching had anything to do with it, with like the level of how everything's happening now. The second side question is the story behind the space opera, did an AI help write that, or was that all Joey? I mean, I don't know if anybody would actually admit that, but I'm curious if it was, because I know when I was playing around with ChatGPT and all of them, when they came out, it would give me some pretty wild stories about aliens and stuff, so just curious if that was part of the creative process. But that's it. You guys are killing it. It goes without saying. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Brian Mole, Reading, Pennsylvania. Over and out.
All right, Barber. So first up, could you explain the concept of the coach? People get very confused by this.
The coach is a really great thing, especially because it's a job that has to be done. And typically it would fall on, maybe whoever wrote the song that we happen to be playing. Like if Mark or Aaron wrote the song, they would be the coach for that song. If I wrote the song, I would be the coach. And then it also comes down to whoever has like a willpower to change what other people are doing, which is a very, very risky road to go down because, then everybody's kind of like talking to each other in a way that creates, it's not quite as like cool and chill, and it can get heated. So the coach is somebody who has this ability to not be in the band and yet really understand what each person is doing on a very deep level so that they can talk to them, personally, privately, in a group setting, in all different types of settings, depending on what they're trying to accomplish, where the overall goal is to make the music, the jams, everything better. And also serve as a resource for how the band members can make the music better. As he stated in there, like the band's been on fire. I mean, look, everybody in the band is really trying their ass off. And that is just awesome to be a part of. I love that. Joey does a lot of coaching now. I think the coach that he was referring to was Cloud Chord when we were doing Original Tractor Beam. And what my idea for Original Tractor Beam was, let's play actual techno music as a band, which will be very unique in the world. And let's not choose the music, or let's also have somebody else in charge of like making it happen. And that was when the coach role was kind of created. And the coach role for Tractor Beam was split between two people, Adrian Space Cookie, who his job was to choose all the music, and then Cloud Chord. And Cloud Chord's job was to take the music and talk to the band members and make it so we could play it, almost like a conductor with an orchestra or something like that. And that role worked great because who's the coach of the Biscuits otherwise, we don't have to figure that out. And somebody doesn't have to show up to work one day and decide that they're going to tell everybody what to do. We don't have to have that situation. We have Derek's job is to get everybody from point A to point B, and everybody else can focus on themselves. And I think that has helped the Biscuits a lot. And every member of the band has had their kind of, renaissance, their enlightenment with how they're going to play in this new modern Disco Biscuits. And you see it all over the band. I mean, Mark's synthesizer work, Aaron on the samples, myself with like the guitar synths and everything. Alan is doing a lot of stuff with risers and wind noises and making sure that the computers on the stage are all synced up. Alan does a lot of that. And so in all of those situations, the questions coming from each musician need to go to somebody knowledgeable, and that's where the coach comes in. I learned a ton about how to run the guitar synth and how to run my system from Cloud Chord, and I think everybody in the band would say that about what happened with Tractor Beam. Now Joey does a lot of the coaching, which is a little less technical, but it's very much a little bit more focused on what Joey has been around for a really long time. So he knows kind of when we have a good version of something and when we have a bad version of something. So it's a little bit less technical from his standpoint, but it's also, there's a lot of knowledge of, when you sang it, I get the kind of stuff I get from Joey is when you sing it this way, it sounds great. When you sing it that way, you sound overextended. And I'm thinking, a lot of times I'm thinking the opposite, but I go back and listen to the tape and I'm like, oh, he's right. If I stay in my range, then I can sing that easily. And so we've been doing that a lot of places. We're bringing Minions back because of that. Yeah. So I think the coach is an invaluable thing. You don't see a professional sports team without a coach. It's invaluable to have somebody watching you and giving you feedback about what you're doing in real time.
That's great. Now, what about Mully's second question? AI, is it time to own up that the entire Revolution in Motion rock opera was in fact a Chat GPT prompt?
Yeah, a really long prompt. The prompt. No, we don't use AI at all, not even as a thesaurus. We don't use AI as a story generator. We don't use AI to color in characters. We don't use AI for anything in our wheelhouse creative process. And the reason we do that is because you guys can just go to AI and make your own music. You don't need us to go to AI and make music for you. You need us to make music because we're us. Like, that's why we have this job. We will use AI for visual post to Instagram or like make like a quick movie to go on top of some music that we made, but we don't use it for music. I don't use it compositionally at all. I have 5 different ways to make bangers, and I just rotate amongst those 5. I don't really have an AI process. I'm not ruling it out for the future, but I do think that it's more likely it's going to be me versus the AI. Is that really is the way? You know what I mean? It's going to be like everybody else is going to be using AI, and I'm going to be one of the few guys left in the game. You know, like me and Billy Strings are going to be the only 2 guys left who are not using AI and are fighting the good fight for the humans of the world. But yeah, it does seem like AI is like, I don't know. I don't think that. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough situation because everybody's going to be using it that I'm competing against. There's no question, you know?
Well, I like this idea of you versus the AI. Maybe a second rock opera that you could write along those lines. We'll see. John, do you want to listen to some jams?
To be continued. Yeah, let's listen to some jams.
All right. So I have, with the help of the Touchdowns All Day Advisory Committee, come up with a little playlist here, John. And we started it off the way the month started off, which was with your performance as Tractor Beam at Biscoland on July 4th. Now, no one knew what to expect because every time you take the stage as Tractor Beam, you completely tear up the script and debut new material, new tech, new techniques, new approaches. This set, it really, once again, from start to finish, new material and new approaches to playing that material. I picked out what a lot of people in my ear have been calling their favorite moment of that set. And that's the segment of Leave Me Alone into Monster.
This song is crazy because it's a great cover for us because we need more drum and bass material in the set. And this is that, like, kind of the chord progression is kind of a Disco Biscuity type of chord progression. And so we're going to keep playing this one for sure.
And it really shows off Alan on that E-drum kit.
Right.
If anyone, Alan in particular, were to say, I want to play my acoustic drums, you just play them this little clip and say, you sure about that?
There's no question the drum and bass sounds better on the all sample kit. There's no question. Yeah.
What was the process for picking the songs that you arranged for Tractor Beam this time?
Magner and Kaplan picked the songs, and they basically just brainstormed the whole set, and everybody else in the band was like, great. Which is, by the way, it's something like Tractor Beam where you can really, really go in a million different directions with it. I think that's a good way to do it. You know, it doesn't, not everything needs to be done by committee. You know, sometimes you have a show like this, like if Magner and Kaplan get really excited about a bunch of songs together, including this one, which is like a pop song almost, you know, it was like, is this really the domain of the Disco Biscuits to play like a straight up pop song? But hey, it sounds awesome. The song's great for our repertoire, and it's terrific. You know, the thing you have to remember about shows like this is it's one show, you know, so whatever you play is what you play. It's almost easier to just have somebody get inspired, put down what they think a great set would be, and then just get started making it real.
So with the Boulder Tractor Beam show and now with the Biscoland Tractor Beam show, on the one hand, there's this sort of Tractor Beam is its own thing. You'll play some Biscuits material, you'll play some material that might only exist in Tractor Beam. But then you have some stuff that leaks out of the Tractor Beam set into other shows, like Boom, for example, has become a part of the Biscuits repertoire. From Biscoland, both Leave Me Alone and Losing It pretty quickly made it into the rotation.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have in your mind going in, or is it more based on the reaction or the experience of performing those songs that you then decide that was too much fun to just do as a one-off, we need to do that again?
I'll play every single one of those songs again. I mean, we bought, when Aaron Boyd came out and sang with us 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we did Escape.
Yeah.
You know, Escape is an incredibly beautiful melodic song with an incredible vocal, and the chords are gorgeous, and sonically it's gorgeous. I mean, when Cascade and Deadmau5 make a song together, they have a good chemistry where they create something that's both like almost romantic, like emotional, and yet at the same time is sonically is so like warm and beautiful and just terrific to listen to. I love it when those guys work together, and essentially we could play that song whenever. But as far as the Biscuits, like putting songs in rotation, there has to be a certain amount of like, it fits something that the band wants. And I think both Losing It and Leave Me Alone both fit something the band really wants, is that Leave Me Alone has the train horn in it. So I just wanted the train horn, that's all. You know, I put it in Trapdoor, and I'm using the train horn. The one that you're using is the one from Trapdoor, right? Yeah, the foghorn. Yeah, I just love that sound. Right?
So good.
I mean, me and Mickey Hart talked about that for a while and how cool that sound is. And then Leave Me Alone gives us a drum and bass song, which makes Alan really happy, and all the drum and people want the Biscuits to play more drum and bass, really happy. We wrote In the End We Have Forever to kind of also satisfy that part of the fan base that's like, we need more of this. So I don't know if Escape fits that. I don't know if some of the other songs fit into that mold. So that's really what it depends on.
Yeah. Alan is having the time of his life right now.
It's wild how tight that is, right?
And so you've cranked the tempo on Monster here.
Well, it's a normal tempo, but Alan is playing wild fast. I don't know how he's doing that.
This makes me want to hear a studio Monster.
With the electric drums like this?
With the electric drums, where you guys can just really let loose. John, now last time with Tractor Beam, everything built up to that Tractor Beam. And we talked about in a past episode how the idea of that show at the end of tour gave you guys something to work toward and structured things as you were going through the winter tour. Here, though, flipped it around. You started out July with that Tractor Beam set, and in reverse, everything else seemed to sort of flow out of it. So a lot of the things that we heard over the next few weeks, I think, were very much building on and expanding on some of the discoveries from that Tractor Beam set. Were there any things that you personally took away from that set? Things that you kind of, not even necessarily performances, but more like just the general approach or themes or anything like that, that you then consciously or unconsciously brought with you on that July tour?
I mean, we hit that July tour with a bunch of new songs. We hit that July tour with a bunch of new covers because of Tractor Beam. And yeah, I think everybody was really ready to play. It was a quick tour, and I think everybody knew it. So we had to get it all out on, leave it all on the stage. And we only had, it was 5 full shows, but then it was like 3 festival sets.
Well, if you count Discoland, you had 11 shows in 16 days.
Yeah, but the last 3 were all one set.
Yeah.
So the last 3 weren't real shows in our mind. They were, 2-hour sets or whatever, hour-and-a-half sets. And so we don't have enough. So really, it was interesting because when we get to the point where we've played everything once and we want to do these big shows and play everything again, it's like, oh, but there's not shows anymore. So we really had a tough time squeezing it all into the end. And we had the whole Aaron thing in Long Island, so we had those songs to do. We just have so much material right now.
Yeah.
And we don't have enough time to play all the songs enough times. And there's more songs coming. I mean, we have new songs for this September run that I'm really excited about. And so I don't know what's going to happen to everything. I don't know how to make it all fit.
You're just going to need to play 3 set shows or 4 set shows or something like that. There's just no other way. So let's talk about the new shows. You had Another Spin, In the End We Have Forever, Better in Doses, and Trapdoor all debuted over the course of 2 nights at Discoland. Who does that? Who plays their big summer festival and debuts 4 new songs? And, Another Spin, come on. We all knew it was going to be huge. We didn't know that first time you played it, it would stretch out to almost a half hour. And then essentially, I guess like you could just say the next 11, 12, 15 days were just one big long Another Spin. It definitely set the tone for the rest of the July tour. So I take it you were pleased by how Another Spin went?
Well, we played it every night, but it wasn't on purpose. It's just that Mark really liked the chord progression, and he kept kind of jamming into it for fun.
Yeah.
And then we would just be like, well, why? We're already playing it. We might as well sing it. And that's what happened a bunch of times. And the way Another Spin works is it comes out of that chord progression into different things. And so you can kind of change it up a little bit without playing the whole song. I like that personally. I like the fact that everybody was in on the new song. I played the demo version at Baba G. I said that before. It was like really great. And so that version's fire too. So that song is just like really fun.
Yeah.
It's just infectiously fun and cool. I feel the same way about all the new songs. They all have this like real uniqueness about them.
Well, let's take a listen to a really standout version of Another Spin, although there hasn't really been a version that has not stood out and defined the set that it appeared in. But this was from the second set of the show at the Bourbon Room in Atlantic City on July 12th, 2024. And this is Another Spin into Shimmy.
Shake it down to the floor. I wanna dance with you now. You gotta move that body. Shake it down to the floor. I wanna dance with you now. Gotta move that body. Shake it down to the floor. I wanna dance with you now. Gotta move that body. Shake it down to the floor. I wanna dance with you now. Gotta move that body. Gotta move that body. party. Gotta take the lady to the uptown street.
So do we play the whole song, or we just do that little moment there? Because it sounded like that's the ending of the song.
That was the body of the Another Spin that night. You came back to it during the encore, during that high wire, trapdoor, Another Spin, high wire segment. But that was the beginning through, I don't know, does Another Spin have an end? I don't even know.
That was it right there. The last check, please.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the ending. So the shake it down to the floor is the third verse or the bridge or whatever you would call it.
Your guitar sounds great on this, John. The delay. There's like a stereo delay. Is that? I'm hearing you kind of echoing yourself in one channel, a beat behind how you're playing it on the other channel. Yeah,
so the delays are stereo. There's 3 guitar channels. 2 is stereo delays and reverbs and a little bit of lead. And then the other one is just the hot mic on the speaker cone in the cabinet, but I don't send the delays to the cabinet anymore. So I almost have two paths, if you will. One is the wet path, which I can change the wetness on the fly, and it's also synced to the band. And then I have the dry path, which goes into the amp, which just gives you like a shred sound for the top of jams and stuff.
Something that I love about Another Spin is that while it's a product of the new songwriting approach, comes from that Pittsburgh No Recollection jam, and it makes full use of a lot of the new techniques you guys have been developing. There are many aspects of it that are just classic Biscuits, Mark's bass line in particular.
Oh yeah, this is hot right here.
Yeah. Mark's got that Dino Baby bass thing going on.
Yeah.
I feel like you have all of the elements of 2024 Disco Biscuits happening right here in this jam. You've got Alan on those conga E-drums, you're on the guitar synth, Magner's dropping the downshifts, and Brownstein is playing the Dino Baby style bass.
Yeah, very modern Biscuits. Sonically way different than 5 years ago. Totally different world.
What's been really fun for me is to hear you apply this new approach to classic material, like the inverted shimmy we're going into, like the hot air balloon that you guys played at Greenfield Lake Amphitheater in Wilmington a few days later. You're seamlessly incorporating the new sounds and the new jamming style into the classic material, which is really reinvigorating some of the songs that are like 30 years old.
Nice. Don't.
And of course, Magner dropping in his Billy Joel.
Right? Yeah.
inspired set list choice here. One of the things that Joey talked about when he came on a few episodes back to discuss the genesis of Another Spin was that he liked the kind of Middle Eastern vibe of the jam that you guys pulled some of the changes from to build the song. So of course, to be able to segue that into the inverted shimmy, just a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and also nobody thinks Shimmy's gonna be in a set list, you know? Nobody sees Shimmy coming. So people don't really know what we're doing at that point in the show. They're just kind of getting into the dance music vibe.
John, if I were a gambling man, I would say that the countdown song for 2024 is Another Spin. That's an early call. I'm getting out ahead of my skis. But after only a few performances of it, I feel like I'm willing to go on record to say this is not just the song of the summer, but it could be the song of 2024. But hey, we still have so many new songs, so many shows to play. There could be, it could be Trapdoor. It could be one of the songs you haven't played yet, but Another Spin has really asserted itself as like, this is the Disco Biscuits as of July 2024.
Yep. It had a good July, that's for sure. We'll see what happens in the spring, in September. It's going to have some competition for newest song in the block in September, so we'll see what happens.
I think the only thing to do is when you come out and play this weekend, you need to open with Another Spin. Just in case anyone was worried that you wouldn't play it every show. I'm looking back over the set list. You really did play it, I think, every show except the festival shows. And you know what? I'm all for it because, as you said, sometimes a new song, you guys are just having so much fun playing it that even when you don't want to play it, you can't stop yourselves from playing it. And to me, that is the sign that you're onto something. We are all going to benefit when there is a new piece of material that has you guys so jazzed that your fingers just find your way to those changes in the middle of whatever jam you're playing because you can't stop. You've got the ultimate earworm going on. Yeah.
It is the ultimate earworm, that song. It's very fun. It's very, very groovy. We'll keep playing it, I hope. We'll see.
Look for it on the new triple album of New Biscuit studio material. From there, John, I wanted to go to the next night, which was took you all the way down to Richmond. Why is it that you guys always play such hot shows in Richmond?
We love Richmond. Richmond's the best. I don't know. This is the vibe.
Because always crush it down there. And this night, in particular, there were a lot of highlights, but the one that I picked was the aforementioned Dino Baby and the jam from Dino Baby into Save the Robots. There's that bass.
It's just a great bass line to jam over. Just nice beat from Alan, just keeping things they're really trucking along.
Well, the reason why I picked this in particular is because there are some really unexpected twists and turns in this little 10-minute segment of music. So everybody's speeding up and then you slow them down.
Yeah, it's definitely a speed up jam.
But you start bringing in those reggae chords. And then Mark and Alan pick up on it. Right?
There it is. It's hot. I like that.
Were you expecting this?
Oh, we did rehearse this backstage.
Okay.
I don't remember if this
You
was on
jumped
the...
right on top of it.
Yeah, I knew the chords. I know how to play along with this sample. It gives us, if we learn how to play along with the samples before he drops them, it gives us flexibility to hit changes like that.
Yeah.
It plays samples that are uneven timing. You know, it gives us, there's a lot more samples we can do.
And then right back at it. I love the fact that you guys did that. You were coming out of Dino Baby and you had to get to robots. So what does that mean? You got to speed up. So you start speeding up and then you, on a dime, turn into a dub jam, drop the samples, play along perfectly, finish that, and then right into the robots tempo for some of the drum and bass.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how much of that. I don't think we planned too much of that. Sometimes it's if there's a big tempo change like that, sometimes it is nice to plan how you're gonna do the tempo change, but then everybody feels like they're locked in this box of planning. And it's something like that where it sounds like it flowed really nicely. It's probably like we were just like, it's speed up, we'll get there. Like, don't worry about it. Let's just have fun. And those really make for the best jams.
Do you know what he's saying?
Richmond is for lovers?
Ah.
That sounds like Aaron, so he's getting weird.
There you have it.
There you go. Just popping in and out of crazy transitions like it's nothing.
Yes. So, John, a question came in from John McGurk on Fantasy Tour, and he said, sounds like in the last few months, you haven't been using the heavy cutting overdrive distortion as much, resulting in less sustain. Is that something that is that an accurate assessment of how you've been selecting effects lately?
It might be true. I'm not sure, honestly. I haven't been reducing it on purpose, but I have a lot of synth sounds and other guitar sounds to play. So probably a lot of situations where I would go to a soaring lead, choosing other things because I just have other things to try. So yeah, he might be right. I don't know. It's nothing being done on purpose, but he might be right.
Yeah. Well, from there, John, you've said to me and to others that you listened back to the Wilmington, North Carolina show, Greenfield Lake Amphitheater. Looking at all of the footage and the photos, that looked like a really special venue, really special location. And the first set in particular was incredible. What was your recollection of that Greenfield Lake Amphitheater show?
It was a real chill vibe backstage. It was very relaxed. We had just a great bunch of fans there. Just felt like a real community feeling. Everybody was very happy with the way the show was working out. And then it rained on VIP, and the VIP kids were like into it and enjoying it and running around in the rain and having fun. And we're like, oh, this is a good group. It's a beautiful place. It's on the side of a lake. And we had just played a bunch of shows, so we were very warm. And it was like, why don't we run through some of the old songs? Why don't we run through some of the old classics? There was a little bit of a Sunday night, just a little less crazy techno, a little bit more of the older stuff. And everybody was psyched to play it all. It just worked out. I thought it was a special special show. Definitely.
You worked in Rockefeller and Minions, which we're about to listen to, Hot Air Balloon, You had a Reactor in there, Gangster, Rock Candy, Falling, another spin. And then you encored with Little Lie. I mean, talk about a throwback. But let's talk about Minions, a song we have not heard. The last time that had been played was in 2022, March of 2022. You mentioned earlier that you and Joey worked on the vocal arrangement. What did you change? And was that part of the reason why Minions had sort of fallen out of favor?
100% the reason. 100% the reason we don't play the song. It's just when I sing it, that baby I'm in space when I'm with you. That note is just. I can hit it in the studio. I can hit it when we're songwriting and I'm drinking tea and like singing. But when we're on tour. Yeah. And it becomes the battleground, you know, and last night's show was 4 hours in a club and I'm scratchy. Minions goes, you know, there are songs that go. And then sometimes when songs go, they just don't come back. And so this version, you know, people love this song and we wanted to bring it back, but I just didn't have the inspiration to change the way that I sang it. So, but recently we've been adjusting the songs to match the vocalist. And we've been doing that for the past year. We moved Wormhole down a whole step. There's a couple of songs that we've changed the key to match the vocalists and changed the lines to match the vocalists. And it's getting us to this point where like a lot of songs where the vocals were cracky and not good, we're now avoiding this. Now, all singers do this, I guess, but we just never did this because we're just like, you know, we just didn't have anybody to coach us around that kind of stuff, you know? So we just thought you got to get your voice warmed up and hit the note. And now it's like, no, put the note in your range. I learned this from when we did The Very Moon, is all those singers are very conscious of their range, and none of them will sing a song with a note outside of their range. They'll insist that we change the key, which is to the benefit of the song overall, so it makes sense. And so we're just starting to pick up little things from other singers, you know, how to do it.
That's amazing. Well, I've pulled an excerpt that's really just the transition from Rockefeller into Minions. We won't get a chance to hear those rearranged vocals, but let's listen to this jam, which was very exciting. It's a real 1999 sound on your guitar right there, John.
I might be playing the Gibson at this point.
Yeah, it sounds like the shimmy bassist from 1999. The David Gilmour type sound. So we'll fade out there. But later in that set, John, on the topic of rearrangements, you did ring the doorbell twice with a new vocal component. What was happening there?
What do you mean, like the ending?
You did like a new sort of ending on Ring the Doorbell Twice.
Well, we're trying to figure out how to do that ending where it's not 17 minutes long. I mean, everything we try for that song is so long because the chorus, you want to play the lick, you want to do the pre-chorus, you want to set up the ring the doorbells, you want to sing the chorus maybe once, maybe twice. Next thing you know, it's 5 minutes. And so we're trying to condense there if we can. I think that's probably what happened is you heard what is the most recent condensed version.
Yeah. Well, it worked. People loved it. I loved it.
Nice.
It was a nice capper on the song. Well, John, so much great music. It was hard to just limit myself to those few selections. Hopefully, I didn't leave out anything that any of our listeners were dying to hear. But here's the great news. You can go back and relive the entire tour on Nugs.
That's right.
You can listen. You can call us or write in with any questions you have or any recommendations of jams you want to hear us talk through in the future. 424-666-SIYD, or you know how to get us on social media at Touchdowns All Day on X, at TDAD Baby on Instagram, and John's at Barber Shreds. I'm at FY Maxwell. So please keep the feedback coming, keep the recommendations coming, keep the questions coming. We love answering your voicemails. Keep sending us your covers. John, I've got a bunch of covers that I'm accumulating. We're going to have to do a fan cover episode part 2.
Nice.
I've got some great stuff to share.
Wow, that's great.
And of course, your stories. We're looking forward to future episodes of our ongoing series, I Remember When. We look back at classic moments in Biscuits history. So lots of stuff on the horizon for Touchdowns All Day and, of course, for the Biscuits. John, you're about to head out for Elements Fest. I have some bad news. The elements are apparently wreaking havoc with the festival. The latest reports I'm getting from on the ground are that there's severe flooding, campsites being destroyed from high winds, and they're not letting anyone into the grounds. So you may or may not have a show this weekend. Fingers crossed that everyone is safe and dry and that the show goes on as planned.
I mean, look, we played through the Biscuit show yesterday, and it sounds great. We're excited for that. We don't play the improv parts, but we play the straight parts. And then I also have an incredibly celebratory Deep Playa House set for Baba G of these songs that I found are like hidden under couches and behind bookshelves. Just these crazy amount of songs that are just so celebratory and fun. So I'm playing that with Alan. So that'll be great. I hope the show happens. I really do. So I'm driving up there. I'm going to make the trek, and hopefully I'll see a lot of you there.
Yes, definitely. And so many dates coming up. We're looking forward to seeing all of you guys out on the road, Colorado, Utah, and of course, finishing out this tour at my favorite place that you guys have played in the last few years, Pine Creek. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We get to go back to Pine Creek for 3 days, John.
It's going to be great. I'm bringing Riv and I'm bringing the wifey and the kid. Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
It's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we will hopefully see you this weekend, see you out on the road for the rest of the summer and certainly this fall. Huge tour for the Biscuits. Until then, if you like the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share an episode, spread the word, and stay in touch. On behalf of John Barber and the entire Touchdowns All Day family, this is Max Dawson saying, see you next time, guys.
See y'all.
Wait, man. communicate. Mass communicate. Mass communicate.
Osiris.